Welcome back, everybody, to episode of the month. This is the show where at the end of every month or the beginning of every month, depending on when this video comes out, I look back at the month that was and talk about my favorite episode of television that came out in that time period. We're double dipping our toes today because last month we talked a little bit about physical. This month, we're right back in it, baby. July 2022, we are talking physical season 2, episode 8, You Don't Have to Run. And this is kind of going to be a little bit less of like a big spectacle episode. We're so close to the end of physical, and I want to save all my thoughts for that. But this episode, I think, really highlights the deranged, twisted nature of what this show is doing, where it tries to tell you that these characters are healing, but they aren't. And that's a really interesting thing to explore. Now, this episode kind of opens up after Sheila told Danny that she was going to go get help and kind of go to like a rehabilitation center. But she's not. She's going to go hang out with Murray Bartlett for a bit. And that's what I like. Look, I have clearly become a fan of Murray Bartlett from The White Lotus. I'm going to watch everything he does now because he's really cool. And is Vinny Green, is that his name in this? He's really cool. And Rose Byrne is fantastic. And they have a really good chemistry where he is kind of just like, so you want to be my shadow? Okay, well, let me show you how we do things down under. And it's kind of fun. Turns into a very interesting story. But there's like two really key moments in this episode that really highlight why this has become one of my favorite television programs of the past few years. The first one is kind of like the side story with Danny where he's trying to like, I want to be an environmentalist and like be an activist in ways. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to connect to the ocean. So he just runs into the ocean. That's it. I'm like, that's kind of funny. And he starts to drown. And then you have to see Bunny and her boo have to come in and save him. And it's just really funny. And oh, I can't believe I'm forgetting. Is it Caleb? Is that his name? Or I can't remember like the surfer guy's name, but he's just like, yeah, man, we come up to my favorite spot. We're going to go to Mexico. I love it. Nope, that dude's drowning, and he immediately just runs into the ocean to save Danny. And they just go back to Danny's place. They smoke a little bit of weed. They just talk about their life ambitions, man. And it's just like a broken dude who is so arrogant in how broken he is, where it's like, look how... It's such a realistic portrayal of an arrogant dude trying to get the woe is me people to accept him. Like, man, I thought I was all these things, but life just came in and broke me down, man. And now my wife's having an affair, and he doesn't know who she's having the affair with, and then they tell him, and he's like, what? That guy, it's like my sworn enemy, bro. Just a macho, broken man trying to prove how important he is, and I think that's a really interesting scene. I know Sheila's the focus, but the way they make Danny this unlikable guy just being this like, I can't see that I'm actually the problem in my life because I'm a liar and I try to look cool, but I'm not willing to accept change. It's fascinating to me. It is a brilliant portrayal of just like the man from that time who would grow up in the 60s era becoming like the sellout essentially. I think that is so fascinating, what they are doing with him. It is so cool, but it is clearly not the highlight of this episode. Because there's a bunch of other, actually just a couple other things that I really like. There is this beautiful sequence kind of towards the middle where Murray and Rose have this really good just dance session where they just like, okay, lightning round, we're going to ask each other a bunch of questions now. And it just turns into these two completely insecure, broken people just dancing out their frustrations and pain. Probably the only two people who could have this friendship and understand each other, who are broken by a friend of their dad's. They both admit it. And it's like, what? Are you kidding me? It is crazy. It's hard because this is the thing where I'm like, that is just these two people who need to release this but aren't going to change because of it. Because immediately Vinny goes back to the same behavior when he thinks he's going to be okay expressing himself, but he can't. And he has to go back to his kind of like submissive ways with his caretaker. I'm like, that is insane. And it's like we just had this beautiful dance sequence where these two broken souls who need this like control and this expression of freedom are admitting to themselves like, yeah, we're broken. We should be ourselves, though. It's okay for us to like things like this and to move on with our lives. It's like, yeah, come on. The cinematography is gorgeous. The dance sequence itself is filmed so perfectly and choreographed so perfectly. It is just some of the most fluid and interesting movements you are ever going to see in a show like this. And again, if you aren't watching Physical, for the love of God, I cannot sing the praises of this show enough. It is perfect. It is fascinating, and there is nothing like it on television. It's utterly stupendous. I will say that forever. And there's another sequence kind of towards the end where just Sheila breaks up with her best friend and they get into a little bit of a tiff. It's just two strong, powerful women yelling at each other because neither of them could really ask for help. And Sheila finally admits the person who is causing all these problems for herself is the voice in her head. And that leads her to be like, oh shit, maybe I actually do need help, because she just threw herself away from every relationship in her life because of her obsessions and because of her self-loathing, torturous tendencies. And now she's like, oh, I am actually really broken. Maybe I should actually seek help. Cool. I can't believe that's, like, she learns a lesson. I'm like, you started off with this, like, woman who is repeating her patterns every step of the way, and she actually goes to seek help. That is really cool, because it's her choice. It's not because Danny forced her to go. It's because Sheila's like, I'm going. I might actually need this because I'm a very broken person. It is amazing. Just her chemistry with Murray is fantastic. The side stories are incredibly well written, and just seeing the 80s through this very, like, broken and toxic light just makes me so happy because it feels authentic. Like, you could get far enough, but not far enough to actually succeed. I'm like, that is insane and probably realistic, and I really genuinely like the storylines that this episode portrays. Just a bunch of broken people yelling at each other who can't get it together. Will they ever get it together? Maybe. You'll have to see the next couple episodes to find out. But Physical Season 2, Episode 8 is 100% my episode of the month. And Physical Season 2 is definitely one of my favorite shows of the year. So thank you guys for watching this rendition of Episode of the Month. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.